reminded me of something actually that you were talking to me about over the weekend, where you basically said, here's the thing when you traffic in just hate. And when your policies are designed to just hate people and oppress people, it's that there's never a bottom to that, because it's not fulfilling to people. It's not like, oh, we got this big victory and now we have our rights restored and we feel good. No, there's no bottom to it, because you still feel that rage regardless of how much you oppress people. Just tell me, just tell the listeners what you were telling me about that, because this is the perfect example of that.
Yeah, I saw a great clip it's called The Damage Report, and they made that great point that when your agenda is to take rights away from people, when you see Trump supporters and MAGA supporters, even when they get a win for them is taking a right away from someone else. It's not adding to the rights that they have. They're not getting additional health care. They're not getting more income for themselves. They're not getting their student debt issues addressed. They're not getting more vacation time from work. They're not getting safer worker conditions. They're not getting, their social security, further protected. They're not getting all of these, things delivered to them, which exist in mostly all modern democracies, kind of outside of the United States of America. They're not getting, more rest breaks and lunch breaks and higher salary and higher wages. So these are not the wins for them, are how have we hurt another group? And so now they hurt women, and then they hurt LGBTQ plus, and then they hurt other vulnerable groups of people over and over again by taking away their rights versus how are they restoring their rights? So to me, when Obamacare passed, which is universally applauded now, I don't really hear, other than certain, right-wing groups that are trying to get rid of it, and people who just will attack Obama on the right because he's Obama. But 24 million Americans got healthcare because of him. It was a celebration that you may otherwise have died because you couldn't afford that surgery. So my celebration is that that's a big win for us as people. Not that I took away your health care.
And Ben, it's such a good point too, because in the same kind of momentum, if you look at momentum shifts of passion, where do you focus your energy next, right? Their energy is, okay, we took away rights from this group. I feel empty inside. What do I do now? I got to take away rights from this group now. And I got to take away rights from this group now. When something like Obamacare passes, the opposite reaction is, okay, well, how do we do more for people? How do we now expand coverage and make it even more affordable? Can we make coverage free for people? Is there a Medicare for all option? Is there a way to get a public option in here? That's the opposite of the right-wing version of that. It's us striving to say, okay, we got this plan now, it works. We got people on it. We have people that aren't now falling through the cracks. Now, how do we really save lives and expand on this and make people's lives better? That's the opposite direction of all that.
Yeah, Linda Greenhouse, Pulitzer Prize winning reporter who reported on the Supreme Court for the Times from 1978 to 2008, and was an opinion writer from 2009 to 2020. She wrote an incredible guest essay for the New York Times called Requiem for the Supreme Court. I would tell everybody to listen to this. And she makes so many great points. I mean, the entire essay is incredible, so I'd read the whole thing. But there was one point that stood out to me particularly, because one of the bases for Justice Alito's historical tradition analysis in overturning Roe is the turmoil that Roe versus Wade created in his historical review and historical analysis. And this is what Linda Greenhouse says. She says, quote, "Justice Alito's reference to turmoil reminded me of nothing so much as Donald Trump's invocation of carnage in his inaugural address. There was no carnage then, but there was carnage to come." And everyone references the inauguration of Trump, and his whole speech was America carnage. America is a horrible place. America has all of these problems. America is this dystopian vision. And then he went about creating the dystopian vision. Roe v. Wade gave choice to women and created a great deal of stability. States were still permitted to provide the literature and the information and do those things under that, and states were still permitted to have regulation upon viability under Casey. States were allowed to do those things. That existed, and that created stability for 50 years. And now what we're already hearing about are stories of women with ectopic pregnancies who need abortion care because without it, they will die through the ectopic pregnancy. And trying to find a doctor who will provide care when a doctor providing that care could mean, not could, will mean that that doctor, under the current trigger laws in place for the states, would be charged with murder. And these are many states that have the death penalty. So trying to find a doctor to provide the health care needed in situations like ectopic pregnancies and similar situations like that, which takes place very, very, very frequently. That's outlawed apparently, right? And that's the broad sweep of these rules. And then you can get into, of course, that these states have no exceptions for rape. They have no exceptions for incest. They view upon fertilization as when abortion rights, it was when their laws outlawing abortion and reproductive care would take place upon fertilization. And so the question is also, what does that mean for in vitro fertilization? What does that mean for other areas too? That is now, and that's also one of the things that Requiem for the Supreme Court goes into, and that's the turmoil that's also being created and just removing choice. They're celebrating harming women, and that to me is disgusting. And we've played you these clips, and I want to move on to the other case that I was talking about that was just decided today by the Supreme Court in Kennedy versus Bremerton. But you've seen the clips of Hillary Clinton. You've seen the clips of these right wingers and what they're doing, what they will continue to do. And so the question is what country do you want? What country do you want? If you can't get motivated and get other people to motivated, and we can't win this election, I genuinely do fear that our country's gone. I mean, we actually have an opportunity. And I know I said I'd move on, but let me just give you one other thought right now, though, about I think what we can do. What's an action item even right now? A step that we can take right now. I know that Manchin and Sinema have said that they don't agree with abolishing the filibuster generally, but everybody recall the filibuster is abolished when it comes to nominating Supreme Court justices and voting on Supreme Court justices. There is no filibuster for that. So it's not like the filibuster exists for all purposes. That was called like the nuclear option. The nuclear option was, off the table. Each party blamed each other for invoking the nuclear option. But nonetheless, there is no filibuster when it comes to nominating Supreme Court justices. So my question is the following. Manchin and Sinema and even Collins, you all are saying that you were defrauded by these Supreme Court justices